Civilization 7 has just released a brand new leader and 2 new civilizations, including Nepal, which we are playing in today's video. We're going to look to try and take advantage of Nepal's strengths, including its ability to really just hunker down and play defensive. They are a turtler's dream civilization. This is a previous playthrough that we did where we started off as Khmer, made our way into the Incans in Exploration Age, and finally get to finish it up with Nepal in Modern. So let's go back to see where it all started in Antiquity, and then we'll quickly dive into Exploration, and then we'll finally make our way through to Modern. We're here on the final turn of Antiquity, where it all began for this playthrough. We've managed to get up to 6 settlements in total and have really taken control of the center of the map, and it got a whole bunch of trade out to all the other civilizations. This is going to be carrying our gold per turn once we've reached the Exploration Age. One of the notable things here is that we've got a really nice tile, a mountainous tropical for Machu Picchu. So naturally that means that if we want to play in the mountains, they are going to be absolutely perfect, the Incans, for us. On top of that, we've got a lot of volcanoes around that have been erupting constantly throughout the games, but they've been giving us a wonderful yield on all of these adjacent tiles. So that's essentially where we left off for Antiquity. Let's check out the Exploration era. At the end of Exploration, we managed to have a total of 12 settlements and had looked to expand into the distant lands, where we had a number of towns and a number of cities that we began forming. And now we begin to move towards the Exploration Age. Of course, we did end up completing Machu Picchu as well, which was absolutely amazing for all of our adjacencies that we've got here. Now, if you'd like to see either of these 2 playthroughs, I'll make sure to leave a link down in the description where you can actually watch us play through the Exploration era or the Age of Antiquity. But now that we've taken a look at these 2, let's take a look at the Modern era. Okay, so we're here in the Modern Age, and before we get into the action, I just want to sort of give a little caveat for this video that, keep in mind, this isn't a Let's Play video, this is more of a showcase. We're going to be doing a little bit of playing, but we're mainly just going to be showcasing exactly how you can maximize the benefits that come with Nepal and take advantage of the way that they actually work, because they're quite a complex civilization. So let's start off by just taking a look at the mementos that we took for today's playthrough. So number 1 is we've got Corpus Juris Civilis for an extra social policy, and number 2 is Golden Seal Stone. This is an extra influence per age on science buildings. And the idea is that we're going to be building lots of science buildings. We want to be going for a science victory today, and I theorize that that's probably going to be the best victory for us here. I'm thinking that realistically, if we wanted to go for an economic victory, we're probably going to need a lot of towns, a lot of space. And the one thing that I'm very cautious about are the warmongers in this lobby. Xerxes was incredibly powerful in the Age of Antiquity. He took out not just 1, but 2 of the other leaders on his island. He was the only guy that was over here when we actually made it across. On top of that, we've also had Ibn Battuta, who has just gone to absolute town up against Lafayette. We can see right now Lafayette's got a single city. He's been forced off the mainland as well. He's over in the distant land somewhere, and this is a big problem because he's got some huge yields that we're going to have to catch up to. So the primary concern for me right now is that we're going to get invaded, and we need to do everything that we can to, number 1, make sure that that doesn't happen, and number 2, if it does happen, we're able to defend ourselves. And the good news is Nepal has got the ability to do that. So let's quickly take a look at what their unique tech tree looks like, what their civilization bonuses are, and how we can maximize their bonuses. So number 1, all warehouse buildings apply to mountain terrain tiles, but they cost +1 gold and happiness maintenance. So here they're talking about the warehouse buildings costing a little bit to maintain, but your bonuses now apply. So that means that if you've got 1 warehouse building, that it will apply to the mountain. If you've got 2, they will both apply. You can stack these up, and the more warehouse buildings you've got, then the higher that can get. On top of that, you also get 30% production towards the Boudhanath, which is the Civ-specific wonder. We've also got the Gurkha, a unique infantry unit that's stronger, faster, and more expensive. We've got the Sherpa, which is their unique scout, which ignores mountains and rough terrain for sight. And then we've got the Highland power station, which is a unique building. This is a very weird one to use, I'll say that right now, which gives 3 production and 3 culture. It's a unique improvement, ageless, does not remove warehouse bonuses on a tile, and must be placed on a mountain terrain and is constructed by the Sherpa. Now, I'll be real with you guys, I actually played the Civilization before this final version. There was a way to do that on with Civ 7 and the previous thing, and they've changed the way that it worked. So the way it used to work was you could literally just build one anywhere, but now it's very specific. So you have to be incredibly careful with mountains, and it means that like cities like this right here, we can't actually build any of these unique buildings. It seems a bit strange, but we'll talk a little bit about it later. But the Highland power station is very niche in its usage, and it's almost, you're discouraged from actually taking mountains before you actually get to playing Nepal, which is a little bit strange because you'd want to typically pair them up with civilizations that take mountains. You want to play Pachacuti, you want to try and play something like the Inca that can take advantage of them. The only trouble is you just want to make sure that you don't have mountains within your borders. So let's get into it and take a look at our legacies and where we're going to be going from here. Actually, you know what? I don't even really think a legacy is really that important. Probably not. I think we could just move through to the end of this turn. When it comes to legacies, I mean, realistically, I don't think we need to worry too much about this. This is more about Nepal, less about the playthrough. So let's get through to the end of turn 1, and then we'll do a little bit of turns. Okay, so we're at the end of turn 1, and it's time to talk about the game plan and the unique civics for Nepal. When it comes to the game plan, my thinking is as long as we've got a single city that we can launch a satellite and eventually a space shuttle from, we are going to be absolutely okay. So it doesn't really matter too much about the warmongers. However, if we do go to war, we've got things that can defend us. So let's take a look at the unique civics and specifically what we're going to be looking to defend ourselves with. Number 1, up here, we've got Jumdo Baga, which all districts adjacent to mountains receive defensive fortifications. It's a one-time effect and follows normal wall placement rules. This means that upon reaching this single unique civic, if we take a look, I don't think we can actually construct them just yet, but they are incredibly expensive to be able to construct fortifications. This is a huge amount of potential fortifications, especially if you look at a city like this, that right there, adjacent to a mountain. So all of these are now going to receive those defensive fortifications. That can be huge for us, and it means that in the event that we do become under attack, here is an example, every single one of these tiles, all of these across here are going to be getting those defensive fortifications. And whenever you're attacking a city, you need to take out every single tile that's got a defensive fortification on it. And if that's across our entire empire, that's going to be really troublesome for anyone who dares attack us. So I think this is quite a strong total civilization from that perspective. There's also other bonuses as well if we take a look at their unique civics. So there is one, I think, let's see if we can find it. It might be here. Yeah, here it is. +3 combat strength for all units adjacent to mountain terrain, doubled if the unit is in your territory. So now you're getting +6 combat strength. On top of that, units complete fortifications in 1 turn if adjacent to a mountain, so you can basically just bring a unit in, a reinforcement, throw them on a tile with like 1 point of movement left, and immediately get them to fortify. So let's roll over this turn and take a look at how things are going, because I tell you what, it's not going to be easy with Xerxes and with Ibn Battuta around. They've already quite disappointed or unhappy with us. So we've had a couple of city-states that have spawned nearby. Now, it can be difficult choosing city-states that are adjacent or even around you, even though we've got 5 of them at the moment. The main trouble that you're going to have is that the enemy is going to kill them. Now, there are some that we're going to want to keep alive and some that we're going to want to take out. So, in particular, this one right here, because if we take a look here, you'll see that it is blocking our ability to settle in our prime location. So, ideally, what we want to do is we want to settle a city somewhere in this region. I think probably on this tile here, just so that we can make the most use of this. And then we can even look to get our science buildings in here, because keep in mind, we do have that science adjacency that will be coming through from our very first civic. So food and science buildings receive an adjacency from mountains. So this right here is a 1, 2, 3, 4 adjacency. This one right here is a 1, 2, 3, 4 adjacency as well. So we could look to try and maximize our bonuses on these 2 tiles. So let's roll on to a couple of turns ahead from here, and we'll talk a little bit about the next bonus. It's turn 15, and we are ready to place down this city. Now, of course, it's going to start out as a town, and we want it to start out very slowly. And the reason why is because we do not want to grow to these mountains. If we grow to these mountains, it is going to create a big problem for us, and that is that we're not going to be able to use our Sherpas to bring these mountain tiles in. And because when we do that, it's going to be giving us our unique building to place on top of these terrain. It's going to increase the stats on it, and if we don't have those increased stats, we're going to be sad. So when we settle, what we're going to do is we're just going to settle right here. We're going to be waiting for our unique civics to come through. So food and science buildings receive an adjacency from mountains, and then we'll be going into the mastery, where Sherpas can activate on an unowned mountain tile within 5 tiles of one of your settlements, palace, or city halls, and a path of tiles is claimed back to the settlement, and the mountain tile is improved immediately with a Highland power station. So that's what we're going to be trying to maximize here. So one of the things to note is that we want to typically avoid growth in these new towns until we're actually ready to do that. Then we're going to need to get all of our Sherpas out here immediately. That's going to be a real key component here, is making sure that every single Sherpa is ready, lined up, able to go, and then we can bring this back in. And this is part of the thing that I don't like about Nepal. So there have been people that have come out and said, you know, the design of Nepal is not particularly inspiring, that it's nice to have representation, but the mechanics are uninspiring. And look, to an extent, I do agree with that. I think that you can definitely make them work, but it doesn't feel particularly easy. And I think part of that is just, you'll see, I'll show you with the power station just how awkward it is to use. And it's quite disappointing because there's a lot of really good tiles in here that you want to be able to throw that bad boy down on. But I guess for weather balance purposes or whatnot, they have changed it. And you can no longer build on internal tiles. But anyway, we'll roll over a couple turns and take a look. It's turn 20 and we're about to complete that very first Civic that is going to give us access to that adjacency bonus for food and science buildings against mountains. So if we take a look here in this city specifically, we'll have access to the laboratory, which we get a +6 bonus for building, which is very nice. However, it's only receiving bonuses from Pashakuti at the moment, which is the food bonus. So when we roll over this turn, it's going to increase that, and it's going to go from 6 science, ideally, should hopefully now go up to 9 science, and indeed it does. So it means that we can really look to start taking advantage of the mountains. And it also means that in cities like this right here, we're going to be able to get really good adjacencies just from the mountains alone. So it means that when you've got an empire that's especially towards the middle of the map, a lot of mountains to take advantage of, it's just going to be really stacking up quite well with Pashakuti, and the fact that he gets the +1 food adjacency for mountains on all buildings. So you're getting quite a nice synergy that is happening there. Just keep in mind that we're not going to be putting them down just yet, because we do not want to be taking these buildings, or rather these tiles, just yet. So speaking of taking these tiles, let's roll over the turn and go take them. It's turn 26 and we're about to complete the mastery for Sagamatha, which is going to give us access to our Sherpas being able to claim these mountain tiles. But as I mentioned earlier, they're a little bit awkward to use, and you have to be very careful about the order in which you claim your tiles. So let's take a look at exactly what I mean by that. Now, in this playthrough here, keep in mind, I've already played this game through, so all of the gameplay that you're seeing right now are turns that I've saved yesterday. So in the actual playthrough, we do this properly. But for today's demonstration, I just want to show you what not to do. So we're going to start with this tile right here. And what's going to happen is we're going to claim this tile. And what should happen is it will automatically claim this tile as well. Now, the only trouble is that when we do this, it's not going to allow us to utilize the claim mountain ability on this tile once it has been claimed. So we'll go ahead and do that. We get our beautiful little Highland power station, but now if we try and build the Highland power station here, you'll see that we can't claim it. So we have to be very careful about the order in which we actually use our Sherpas. So what we should do is start with the closest tiles and claim them first. And that means that if we do that, we should hopefully be able to claim every single mountain, and they just look brilliant, don't they? I tell you what, I love the look of them. They look a little bit weird when you've got all of them together next to each other like this, but I tell you what, they're a beautiful little tile improvement. I think they've done a wonderful job. I don't know if tile improvement's the right word for it, because technically they are buildings, but you do need to be very careful with them. And so, because as you can see, this is now within our territory. Now, keep in mind, this mechanic did change. It used to be different. I had access to Civ 7, or at least I had access to this civilization previously through Civ 7. There's a bit of a bug that you can exploit, but obviously I don't publish the bug because I don't want them to fix it. But anyway, it was like, I guess, an early version of Nepal, and you could indeed convert over mountains that were in your existing territory. You cannot do that here. You're prevented from doing it. So it means that you're very much incentivized for not even taking mountains, and this is bad. Right? I don't like this. I'm just going to say it right now. I think it's bad game design, because I want to be taking mountains. If you look at the bonuses that the Inca get, the Pashakuti get, it's natural that you're going to be taking mountains, and I feel like I'm being punished for not doing that. Now, it might be because of a balance reason. I will just say right now, these yields get absolutely disgusting, and there's probably a good reason why they changed it, and it was most likely because when Pashakuti got to the modern era, and he was around a whole bunch of mountains, you could get, like, I'm not kidding you, okay? So what happens, the mechanics of these buildings, they all add these bonuses into this town, and now this town has got all of this, and you don't have to pay for these citizens. So if you hypothetically had 35 mountains around your city, and you had 35 Sherpas, because keep in mind it does consume the Sherpa, you would then have 35 times whatever these yields are, all going into that one single city or town, and you don't have to pay for any of the citizens. You're getting free citizens, free yields, free everything out of it. It's kind of wild. Anyway, let's move over now to our next point. We're going to be watching these yields develop and hopefully get to see some high, well, I know for a fact you're going to get to see some crazy yields on these bad boys. It's turned 32 and the yields have started yielding. Have a look at these bad boys right here. Well, yes, I'm sure you can imagine that things are going quite well in this city with 124 production. It's one of the highest productions in all of the empires, which definitely makes you excited for our next Civic, which is going to be unlocking our World Wonder, which of course is required to be constructed on tropical terrain adjacent to a mountain, and something that this city has got absolutely plenty of. However, the only trouble is, oh, sorry, that's Red Fort, just, wow.
The Gurkhas are upon you.
That's quite good. I've not heard that before. Ayo. Okay, anyway, so where were we? That's right, we were talking about the World Wonder that we were looking to build that wasn't the Red Fort. So we could technically build it out here, though if we did that, we're limited, right? We're limited on space, and ideally we want to be launching a rocket from this city because I can't think of anything more picturesque than this. You know, it kind of reminds me of a Nepalese Cape Canaveral, if such a thing existed. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to look to build it over in Indrapura instead, because we do have a tropical mountain and tropical tile over here, so a single tile right here. So we'll go ahead and put that down. Now, this World Wonder, let's talk a little bit about this, because you might look at it and think, it's kind of meh, right? Like, it doesn't really do much, but I just want to, I honestly, I'm a big fan. Let me explain. Increase your relationship with all other leaders by 20. That's all it gives, okay? That's the main thing. I don't care about the 4 influence. Look, we're at 135 influence per turn. I couldn't care about the 4 influence. But what I care about is that. Because there becomes a point where you can't increase your relationship with leaders anymore. And that's not when it's positive, that's when it's negative. It can be very difficult. So right now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, we've got Ibn Battuta, who is hot on our tail. He is looking to cause us problems. He's already gone to war with us once this game, and I suspect he will try to be back again. However, if we can turn him around, if we can say, hey, buddy, maybe you shouldn't go to war with us, this can be something that contributes to our victory because it allows us to keep him on side until we can buy ourselves enough time to guarantee our science victory. So that's the whole game plan with this World Wonder. And I love it for that reason, because realistically, if we look at him right now and we say, hey, okay, we want to increase our relationship with him, it's about to go into hostile territory. Let's go for a farmer's market. If he rejects this, he's going to support this one, so we're very fortunate, but if he rejects it, that means that we go into hostile territory, and it makes it very difficult. On top of that, we also get access to the gift Gurkha, so it means that we can go ahead and grab Ada and say, hey, Ada, would you be interested? Actually, we can't do it with her because she's not friendly. Let's go to Lafayette then. Lafayette, would you be interested in a Gurkha? So this is going to give us a 10 relationship and 5 culture. I think it's, sorry, 5 culture on standard speed. Is it just 5 culture? Is that it? Is that it? I don't know exactly how that works. I should probably read into the gift Gurkha a little bit more. I was just giving it to people in this game just primarily because of the bonus. So Nepal receives 10 relationship with them and 5 culture for the current relationship level with them. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense because in that UI it wasn't saying a whole lot in there. So if we take a look, it just says with them and 5 culture on, oh no, it does. Apologies. 5 culture on standard speed for the current relationship level with them. So if the current relationship level is 43, then that would be 5 times 43. So like 200 culture, which isn't too bad. That's like half a turn of culture, which is not bad at all. But the main thing is that you're just keeping people happy, because you got to remember, once you get to the modern era, it's all just about keeping people happy because everyone wants to go to war with you. You've got a different ideology from them, and then the way the game's mechanics work force people to go to war with each other, just simply because you've got a different ideology. I don't like that, and I'm going to declare war on you. Anyway, that's where we're at currently. Let's roll over to the next turn and take a look. It's turn 42, and we're about to complete the Boudhanath World Wonder. If you take a look in the top right-hand corner, you'll see that Ibn Battuta as well as Xerxes are not particularly happy with us. So this is going to allow us to lift those relationship levels up, which is a great thing because we've gone to war previously with Ibn Battuta and with Xerxes in the Exploration Age, and we want to make sure it doesn't happen again in the Modern Age. We want to do everything that we can to get that scientific victory. So by doing this, by completing this World Wonder, what it's going to allow us to do is begin trading with Ibn Battuta. And this is going to offset Well, let's listen first.
Nature of things.
There you go. Yeah, so what it's going to allow us to do is offset any of the negative relationship effects that we've got, and it's going to allow us to begin trading. Because one of the big ways that you can improve your beautiful artwork here, by the way, one of the ways that you can improve your relationship with leaders, as you'll see now that we have got Ibn Battuta as just a sad down vote, we can improve trade relations with him, and they'll never reject trade relations. They'll always allow you to send trade relations. I think in my 750 hours of Civ 7, I've never had trade relations rejected. However, you cannot send them if you're in a hostile relationship. You have to be at least in a whatever this one is, unfriendly relationship. So now we've unlocked that ability. It means that we can get traders out. We can start trading with him, and every time that we do that, that's going to be increasing our relationship. So you can see here we're at +10 at the moment. For some of these leaders, we're probably quite a bit higher. +10 here, nothing in here. We haven't really started trading too much this age just yet, but that's the whole goal when it comes to this World Wonder, is being able to do that. If we take a look at what other bonuses did it give? I think it also gave the influence, didn't it? So yeah, the primary bonus here is just the fact that we're able to increase our relationships. We're able to bring them out from whatever ditch they might be in. Even at this point in the game, ideologies haven't really started coming online, and yet people are still getting unhappy with us. So we do need to be very cautious about going to war, just because we're looking to play peacefully. Anyway, let's take a look at the next turn. It's turn 45, and it's time to talk about the jewel in the crown of the Nepalese Empire. It is, of course, our mountain city that is on the coast. I tell you what, it is a beautiful little spot, and let's take a look at the yields that it's got. 11 production on every single one of these tiles. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 66 production that is coming through. Of course, a whole bunch of culture, happiness, and food as well. On top of that, we've got ourselves some beautiful adjacencies that are coming in. The laboratory, the schoolhouse, together with the museum, and the opera house. Everything is coming online here. They've got wonderful adjacencies with all of the mountains that surround them. And now we can talk about our unique civic as well. So if we take a look up here, we're working towards Jumbo Bagger. And one of the great things about this is that it is going to make us a defensive powerhouse. So let's go ahead and just take a look at the lay of the land here and get a bit of an idea on where these are actually going to go down. But not only that, so let's just review what it does. All districts adjacent to mountains receive defensive fortifications. It's a one-time effect, follows normal wall placement rules. So it has to be connected to the main city center. So what we can then do from there is say, okay, well, this tech is about to come through, and it's very expensive. If I wanted to build walls, it would cost me 1736 just for a single set of walls. It would take 10 turns to produce in this city. Out in this town, it's going to cost me a huge amount of gold. So instead of doing that, what I could do is say, well, hold on a minute. This tile here is next to a mountain. So let's go and put a brickyard on that tile. We'll go and stick a granary on that tile as well. Let's put a saw pit on this tile right here. That's going, and we can put, what else can we put on here? We could put a sawmill. Let's do it. Well, that one there is not going to give you anything. So I think technically, this is on a river, so I don't know whether it's going to give it to us on these tiles. But these three right here should now all get the bonus. So let's go ahead and let's force the turn over. And these three should all get it, as well as pretty much all the other good ones in here. And indeed, they do. So we've basically just given ourselves a whole bunch of gold here as an example in the capital. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tiles that we've managed to get. How many have we got down here? We've got 3. I think technically it also gives us the city center. So there's just a whole bunch of these throughout the entire empire now. And this makes it a lot more difficult to take. I tell you what, after playing through with Bulgaria and trying to pillage everything, it became very difficult to pillage anything that had walls on it. I would intentionally go out of my way to avoid the walls. And because of that, it means that any of the walls that you've gotten, especially the ones for free, you are going to be a very happy camper when it comes to the late game, comes to war. So that is a great bonus. On top of that, we've also now got access to the mastery, which is going to allow us to have increased combat strength in those tiles because they are adjacent to mountain terrain. So a really, really nice little bonus there. I think it definitely plays into the style of the way I think of Nepal is they are very much like a turtler's dream. They are a civilization that doesn't really want to get out, doesn't want to really leave its base. It just wants to stay in there, just wants to defend, and then at the same time, it's working towards victory, right? And that's why I think science victory is probably the go-to strategy when it comes to playing Nepal. Anyway, let's take a look at the next turn. It's turn 50, and our mountains are about to reach their final form. They've got some good yields on them now, with their happiness blooming all the way up to 6, but we're about to complete our unique civic which is going to give us an extra 2 culture on our mountains and 4 in the capital. So our capital is all the way over here, Kathmandu. So all of these tiles are going to be picking this up. However, these ones are only going to be getting the +2. So let's go ahead and roll the turn over and take a look at these yields, because I tell you what, it is well, hold on, we got to slot this bad boy in first. Let's go ahead. We can probably get rid of the food, we don't need that one, but you can see 86 culture, not a bad amount. That's obviously going to get multiplied by any numbers that you've got, so up to 931, and now we've got ourselves some very nice looking yields. So if we take a look across the empire, the mountain yields will differ depending on what biome they're in. So of course this is a tropical one, so it's going to get that science bonus. If we take a look over towards the capital, you'll see that we've actually got some tiles, and this is something that we didn't really mention earlier, but there are tiles outside the range of the capital. So if you think about typically a capital, or a city, it's going to have 3 rings, ring 1, 2, and 3. Well, the great thing about Kathmandu, rather the great thing about Nepal and their Sherpas, is that you can actually claim tiles in the 4th and the 5th rings around your settlements, and they are only mountains. And when you do that, it does give you these little nice bonuses. So it means that Kathmandu is absolutely pumping on the production. We've got a couple of other cities that have also brought these in as well. But I think when it comes to the yields, you can see that there's some incredible ones here. I tell you what, I really wish these had some power stations on them. They'd be lovely. But I guess you can't have it all. Anyway, that is, I'm not sure if this is the final stage of the yields right now, but these are starting to approach late game yields. We'll say that much right now. It's definitely getting quite strong. It's turn 52, and we're about to complete our next unique civic, which is going to allow us to instantly complete fortifications. So if we take a look up towards this little UI thing, units complete fortifications in 1 turn if adjacent to a mountain. So typically when you're looking to complete a fortification, it is going to take you a little bit longer. You're going to have to click this button. Now, of course, there's little upgrades that you can get on your army commander that will allow you to do it faster, but generally it's something that you're going to need to have that army commander around for, whereas here with this bonus, you're just going to be simply able to come out next to a mountain and immediately hit that fortification buttons, and now you're fortified. You're going to be picking up that extra combat strength on the defense, so really nice. Meanwhile, this guy over here, he's still doing his thing out here. It's going to take him some time. So that is that's a nice little bonus, and of course on top of that you also get the extra combat strength. If we take a look here, you'll get +3 combat strength for all units adjacent to mountain terrain. So whether that's your mountain, whether that is their mountain, doesn't matter. It's always going to be hitting, but if it is your mountain, it's always also going to be getting a double bonus, so up to +6. So this could be very nice, and it means on defense, especially like as an example, imagine if someone tried to take our capital. We're getting +6 here, +6 here, all here we're getting +6. We're also getting volcano defense, but +6 pretty much everywhere on pretty much every single tile except for this one, I think, in the capital. It's turn 64 and things are starting to heat up. The other leaders are getting a little bit upset with us. So what we're going to do is we're going to take advantage of our Sherpa and look to try and bring some of these mountains in to boost up the production on our cities. So this one right here is going to be picking up 1, 2, 3 mountains that are all going to be coming back towards this city. So if we take a look at the production, it starts off at 109. We'll start by working towards the first mountain. So we'll go ahead and grab that one in. And that's going to now push us up to 121. The second mountain is going to push us up to 132. And the third mountain is going to push us up to 145. So we've got ourselves quite a bit of extra production now, just because of these little Sherpas. And this is one of the cool mechanics that I really do like about Nepal. I just really wish that, well, as I said, I really wish that you weren't forced to play suboptimally in the earlier stages of the game to play optimally in the later stages of the game. So it's one of those disappointing things, especially because to unlock Nepal, you actually need to have a certain amount of mountains within your borders in the first place. So it very much becomes about being able to expand to places that have got mountains that haven't been taken yet. But anyway, we'll roll over and take a look at the next turn. It's turn 82, and we are 1 turn away from completing Rocketry. At the moment, our yields are doing quite well, 1844 science, compared to the next highest in the game, which is Ibn Battuta on 1100 science. The other thing to note is both leaders are very unhappy with us. Ibn Battuta sitting on 90, and Xerxes also sitting on 90. Of course, we've done our best, but it's very hard to overcome the opposing ideologies. So what we've done is, just look to try and put as many military units as we possibly can in all of our cities that are along the borders. We've looked to reinforce them as much as we can, get some defensive lines in, because we are going for our science victory, and there is nothing that is going to stop us today. So that's where we currently are. We'll be looking to try and complete this before turn 100. It's turn 87, and in the crown of the jewel of our Nepalese empire, we have got a single rocket ship that is about to blast its way off towards victory. Well, not towards victory. We're going to do satellites first, but I thought we'd get a nice little glimpse of this as well as it makes its way out from Cape Kathmandu. I tell you what, it's pretty loud, isn't it? And turns out Nepal can enter space. Off it goes. Jeez, it just keeps going. Okay, no, it stops. Oh, no, it keeps going. Anyway, there it is. That's the first stage gone. Well, now at this point, we'll be able to look towards victory because we've almost, if we take a look here, we've unlocked everything that we need to go towards this. So now it means that we're able to work for our crewed spaceflight. So we'll go ahead, we'll do that, and we'll see you in 10 turns. At turn 97, we've managed to make it to the last turn in the game. We've avoided war. We've had enemies on our borders that have looked to try and take us out. But we've held the line. Well, we haven't actually gone to war, but you guys get the idea. There's a whole lot of there's a lot of military units around here. Anyway, our final turn for the game, of course, it's going to be on Cape Kathmandu right here because we are about to complete our scientific victory. And before we do that, we have to see the flood. There we go. And there it is. The first crewed spaceflight launches. We get to see those beautiful, unique buildings. See the little fish jumping out? That's so cool. Get to see them in this, well, from this perspective. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. The modern age has come to an end, and we have managed to complete the game. So it was a very fun run through with Nepal. I think their primary focus is like definitely a defensive focus, and then from there, I mean, you could probably look to do cultural, you could look to do scientific, but scientific to me makes the most sense, just because it has that nice little synergy with your mountains. So in the end, we were successful. We dominated on legacies, and Pachacuti was victorious. Anyway, we'll leave it there. If you've enjoyed this video, feel free to leave a like. If you've got any feedback, feel free to leave a comment. And of course, if you're looking forward to more Civ 7 content, then be sure to hit that subscribe button because there is always time for one more turn.